Because since you're at your 25-year mark of training, it's coming up pretty soon, I think, right? Or is it
Yeah,
just
it's July. Yeah, everything. Yeah, July 27. I still remember. It was a good day.
uh how since that day, how has your relationship with jujitsu changed?
Man, it's changed, and I have a like this. I think everything is changed every 5 years. It depends. It depends how much you mature, right? For me, it was like starting at 15 was like a way to exercise, training with friends, uh, and a lot of learning because a teenager jumping in an adult's class, right? And we didn't have what we have today, beginners and advanced, right, our level. So it was just one class. You come in and start working out, and you jump in the first day, do the same warm up that everybody was doing, right? So it's the warm up we call warm up at the time. Today I know was a conditioning training, a 30 minutes conditioning class, right? Just to start the jiu-jitsu class. And you jump in day one and go. A little bit like Professor show a technique, and let me in the corner to watch everybody rolling. And then after that second day, it's like, right, jump in, do what you can, right? And over time, more you learn, more time you spend on the mat, things gonna start changing. 15 to 20, it change. 20 to 25, it change, and depends how you go, what's happening in your life. It have to change. You have to adapt, right? To continue training if you want to continue to train. And for me, the biggest change now it's 40. I am 40 years old. The body feels. It's funny because last year on my birthday week, everybody, well, how old is he turning? I say 40, and then everybody just laughed, right? Everybody like, hey, 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 giggles, and I say, man, what happened? What's going on with this 40 thing? Then 1 week ago, by 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and so oh shoot, now I know why you're laughing. Right? I realize like it is a big change. For some people, it's 40, so it take a little bit longer. For some people, a little before 40, right? But I did feel that change on my body. Aches that I didn't have before, stamina drops a little bit, and we learn jujitsu as we go. Yeah, it's a big challenge. So every time, it changes. It changes every 5 years. Uh, and I think it's something that happens a lot. I was talking to one of the parents is, pay attention how your teenagers, how the kids, when they hit 12 to 16, they train for a period of time. They get used to with their body size, their strength, their speed. They're doing really good, and they wake up the next day or next week, and it feels like they forgot everything. One thing we didn't realize before, at least I wasn't realizing before, is now they grow an inch or 2 inches. Their foot is like bigger, the body, the length is different. So they have to relearn jiu-jitsu again for their body type.
Oh, sure.
For their new body type, right? With the size and what they can do. They were doing things before that was comfortable for them that's not comfortable anymore. It's not working anymore because for you to get, for example, if you get a leg in a hook before you need a short hip escape, now you need a bigger hip escape because the length of your legs.
Sure.
All right. So you feel like, why my kid is like getting worse? In reality, they're relearning how to train jiu-jitsu with the new body size, the new growth.
Yeah, that's a really, really important thing too to remember. And I cannot think of the term of it right now, but I heard about this or learned about this years and years ago. And it comes from the way in which the Japanese teach martial arts. And like in America, in our school system, you learn step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? You're
Yeah.
constantly adding on to it. But one thing that really changed my training and the way that I share martial arts is the understanding that, and it's just like you said, you're relearning. So the way that it is um, in like really traditional Japanese martial arts, it's like a spiraling circle up. So you always come back to those certain areas and you relearn them over and over and over again.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and that's what they're doing when they're relearning as their body grows. That's interesting. They're not actually getting worse.
Yeah, it's relearning. Yeah, it's like then it's go back. Like for example, when I started training jiu-jitsu, my body, right, was going up. My peak, now my body starting going down. So what my goal now is to train and learn jiu-jitsu to get to that. My peak is done. I'm not gonna go and it's gonna start going down. How much it can slow that fall?
Yeah.
Right. So the goal now is I'm relearning how to slow everything down. Not just, like we talked about that before, like students, I'm training for a tournament. So I feel good in the mornings, right? So I can train. Then as the day goes by, like my energy is going down and I was like, man, I don't know if I can train this hard tonight to go back tomorrow, right? Some days I feel really good. I train as hard as I can. The next day I'm destroyed. I'm sore, like I'm slow. Then I have to, manage that to how much I train. And it's constant changing.
Yeah.
Especially for jiu-jitsu because, for example, I have all my students. We train everyone do a different thing. And for some students, if you're not feeling good, you're not strong, right? They're gonna really make you pay for that lack of, strength,
yes.
energy, and it's fun. It is fun. I learning a lot.
Yeah. Good. That's amazing because you've been doing this for this long, and the learning is endless. And I found that even when I catch myself thinking, "Oh, I've done this for so many years," one minor thing that I've either added to the toolbox or I kind of refined a little bit more opens this other kind of doorway to more learning. And it's it's nonstop, the learning.
Yes, if you're looking for to learn, it's never gonna end. If you're seeking, you want to learn, it's gonna be there. It's always gonna be an option. Always gonna be a new thing. Always gonna be a different way to do the same thing. If you open for the learning.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that got and it's like they don't even try and they question why they're not improving. Right? So it's like, okay. But if you're seeking, that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for new ways to do the same thing, it's always there. You're always going to find.
Yeah.
You have to be open for it.
Yes. Yeah. That's so key. And especially in training when you're learning something new, is that being open part, right? Because this is how I remember learning an armbar. You you go through the motions, you go through the motions, you go through the motions, and then okay, I got it. Right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
like the big movements down,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you can apply it on someone that doesn't want to get armbarred,
Yes.
right? Um,
Yeah.
and you're learning all those small adjustments and how to make the technique work. And it's almost like you have to get out of the technique's way and it will work.
Yeah. Yeah. And we we teach, like I teach, just for example, the armbar. We teach you the steps, right?
Mhm.
So teaching you the steps, how to do, and then we're starting applying resistance,
Mhm.
right? And then we go, okay, like I go back and say, okay, so no resistance now. We're going for the motions. We just keep doing, add speed, because you start each. Um, when we teach step by step, there's gaps that breaks, and we want to reduce that break. The time of the break gets smaller. That's what adds the drill to go to speed to look like a one motion,
Mm.
right? So, and it's hard when you're overthinking. Then we
Yes.
want to. That's why we want to break that. The repetition, the muscle memory. Like muscle memory to go and go and go to less pause between steps. You have a better armbar is gonna, your better your armbar is gonna be.
Mm. Yeah, most definitely. Um, what speaking more about learning, what is a lesson that you learned from jujitsu that you couldn't have learned any other way?
That I couldn't.
Yeah.
Uh, that everything's gonna be okay. In the end, everything's gonna be okay. So you put the work, put the effort. You're gonna adapt. You're gonna be, you're gonna get used to. And one day you're gonna be on the bottom, and doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. You know,
Mm.
you get used to, and you keep climbing up. You're gonna reverse. There's ups and downs. One day you're gonna be on the top, and then the bottom. But more you struggle on the bottom, getting like that beat up, more comfortable you get, more confident. I can't say you're comfortable. For some people, feel like I can stay here forever. All right, that's comfortable. And one thing I try to tell everybody is like, you can't feel comfortable on the bottom. You have to be confident on the bottom. I can
Mm.
get out at any time I want. Right? So that's what you did stop with. Everything's gonna be okay. You be resilient enough to hold this pressure. You're gonna be able to find your way out.
Yeah.
And you have to drill. You have to drill that. You have to, really put yourself on that situation. Over time, as you improve in jiu-jitsu, you don't want to have to feel that.
Mm.
Or you don't want, man, I had a really bad experience being on the bottom. I hate to be on the bottom. I don't want you to go back there anymore. But sometimes you have to put yourself back there.
Yeah. And what you said about being confident on the bottom, and then the repetition and the drilling and the rolling, I mean, all that equals that confidence when you're on the bottom,
Yes.
right? Like you just said, the more times you're there, the better you get at getting out from underneath the bottom or moving to the top.
Yeah.
That's
And for yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a really important point that I think people don't. They may hear it, but it's not. They're not listening. What
Yeah,
you're saying.
it's not understanding.
Yes.
All right. It's in for like in life. Sometimes we have the information, we have the knowledge, right? But we don't understand what that means, and we keep making the same mistakes.
Yes.
All right. So it's like and go on this loop, and going back to like transferring like from jiu-jitsu to applying life. If you're having a hard time, you that thing's not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
All right. So it's gonna be unless you accept, you feel comfortable in the bad, if you're having a bad, experience, lost your job or family sick, depression, whatever, if you accept that and feel comfortable with that and start telling yourself that that's okay, you're going to be there for a long time. If you're there, and start looking for your way out, like in jiu-jitsu, you're in the bottom and you're looking for your way out. Hey, I cannot get out of here now yet, but I'm going in. I want to get on top. I'm going to go on top. I'm going to reverse this my life situation. If you do not get comfortable, all right, on that situation, it's going to change. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer than other times. For example, it's like growing up, we didn't have we didn't know what is depression, and it's like especially in Brazil, right? With growing up on my life I had before, I didn't have a lot of information, and I'm learning as go. Being married with Alicia, I got a lot of information from Alicia. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And I went to her, like, I think a couple of weeks ago. I said, look, I think I'm a little depressed. There's a little depression here, right? And it's like, that's how it feels, I don't like to feel this way. Is something wrong? It's not myself, right? And it's like, this has to change. And that deal with, I was like, man, this is suck. I still go getting up early. I still getting now. I have on my schedule. I have a commitment with my students. I'll be there. But I'm tired, exhausted. From the time I woke up to I was wake up tired. So I was like, I think that's what happened. So we talk a little bit. It's like, yeah, it might be, And it's like, I don't want to feel that way. And then starting, hey, I'm going to change this. Started doing more things, pushing myself to do things that I know I didn't want to do it, but I know it's good for me. And I feel better. Took a couple weeks. There was a time of going back. It's like going a time that before I realized it took me like going back now, then thinking on what happened. How did I feel? When the last time I felt that way? I was like, it took me way longer. But because I was able to recognize, and back then I couldn't recognize, right? I didn't know. Now I have enough information. I recognize what's happening. I don't like the feeling. And I didn't accept I can't be this way because it's not myself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what the jiu-jitsu taught me. I don't like this. I don't like to be smashed by a 230, 50 pounds guy. Say, I'm not going to be here. I can't be here.
Yeah. And one thing that is like, I'm trying to think of the words, but it's like when you felt that kind of coming on or you weren't being yourself, you didn't just start fighting with that. You looked at openings to begin to change things.
Yeah.
Right? It's very different than just fighting with telling yourself, well, I shouldn't feel this way, or I shouldn't be depressed, or like, what am I? How can I be depressed? I've got all this stuff going on that's really good. But you didn't do that. You immediately started looking for openings to work with it and get past it or on top of it, if that's the term.
Yeah. Now, I think it's got easier because I learned, I learned what it is. I understand now. I understand myself better.
Mm.
I have more knowledge of myself than I had before. And it's like, hey, this is cannot be the way.
Yeah.
And I feel good. I feel myself again.
Good. Good.
So it's like, yeah, it's a little. It is sucks. But
Mhm.
I'm sure that for the things you saw, while in the military, the things you went through, yeah, that's not a easy. And it's funny.
Yeah.
I was even thought at that time. So it's funny how things pop up, right, on your life. At that time, I was researching, looking for stuff, and guess what pops up on my Instagram? 50 cents, the singer, right, saying like, depression is a privilege, luxury, thing. We didn't have growing up. We didn't have that.
Good
I don't
one.
have. He's like, when you're poor or you don't have a lot of resource, like you don't have time to sit at home and feel bad. No, you have to. You can't let that thing. That so it's not an option. And
Yeah.
that's like that's true. Like and then my head's like, man, why am I gonna be? I can't feel this way. I can't. I can't allow that to take over my body, take over my mind
Yeah.
because it's not myself.
What's crazy is uh the the thing about being like deployed in a dangerous place is that it's very similar to when I grew up and didn't have many resources, because they're the same in the sense that all the BS falls away and you're just focused on surviving,
Yeah,
right? You don't get
yeah,
all caught up in all this other stuff. Um, and then when you get home, or after you do the work to change your life and go in a different direction, that somehow improves it, then you do, like, I remember coming back and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And then you walk into no kidding, you walk into Target and you go in there to buy deodorant and there's like 50 different men's
yeah.
deodorant, and
Options. Yeah,
it's overwhelming, and you're like, well, I just need deodorant, like this makes no sense to me.
right.
um it's such an odd thing. But I'll tell you, uh training with you helped me work through a lot of that stuff, um because it didn't allow me to just sit and do nothing. um and jiu-jitsu has a weird way of focusing you while you're training. um it's very similar to that. Like when someone's trying to choke you out, you can
You
get
have to be
focused real
yourself.
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
um
yeah. And it's like that feeling like I'm training with there's someone in front of me. I don't know what this person's gonna do. I don't know how hard this person's gonna go. Right? I have to pay attention to this person. I have to focus on the person in front of me so we both don't get hurt.
yes. Yeah.
Right? And it's like, and that, like the idea that like competitive of like, hey, I want to my jujitsu, my technique be better than my friend's technique, so I can, like we can improve. and I was going back and forth, right? So I want to get you with this. I want to, surprise you with this move. I want to, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. It is fun. It makes us feel kid like again,
Yeah. How do you manage the whole operation and managing the academy without burning out?
Man, that's some days I'm just exhausted. I cannot say I don't burn out. Yeah, I do. Some days I feel burned out. Some days I need a break. Not that long ago, like when I experienced a little bit myself down, I had to take a day off, and it's like I'm done for today. I'll come back tomorrow. Now I have more people. I have more students. I have more people willing to help. I was able to to bring more people to classes, more instructors, and slowly I'm passing that, to other people so I can focus on the side of the business and focus on a few classes.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find a balance. So it's more, I think more I get, more I can give. And I know that I cannot do everything by myself.
Oh.
So I'll slowly pass away some of the things that I'm doing, so I can find the good balance.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it is a lot of people. It's a lot of things to deal with. So, and I'm just one man, and more people that come in willing to help.
Yeah.
And more we grow, more we can give.
Yeah. You'd said something a while back about you have a commitment to your students to show up to teach. Is that one of your big drivers of just getting up and going to the academy and unlocking the door?
Yeah. It's like, if I tell you, hey, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. So unless something big happens, and I love to see my students improving their life, whatever it is, whatever goals they have, it's exciting. It makes me happy to the student come and say, Professor, since I start being consistent on my train starting like 2, 3, 4 days a week, my life is better. My mood at home is better. My wife is better because I'm happier. My kids are better. I'm in a better shape. I can do more with my family. I can do I take out my stress. I can start my day, or like I got a really good training. I had the time for myself, and I'm able to perform better outside of the mat. It's great, and that's what I'm looking for. My goal now is especially for the kids, this young generation, is like they learn how to struggle. And, like, hey, I can't do this hard thing, jiu-jitsu. I'm telling everybody, I'm like, jiu-jitsu is one of the hardest things I have done in my life. Number one, maybe two, I'll put that my raising a kid, and, and jiu-jitsu is the hardest thing I have done in my life. If I can do this for a long period of time, if your kid can do this, if my daughter can do this for a long period of time, she's going to be okay. I'm using my daughter Amelia as an example because she had a really good 3 years of jiu-jitsu when she was a kid. Going, moving, doing a lot of stuff. training. She will try to train jiu-jitsu. Then she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I gave her a little break, and it came back. Say a year later, say you have to go back. Doesn't matter how you feel, you have to train. You have to train. And she's got me, just last month, she surprised me how hard she's training, and how much she's like. She doesn't tell me how much she's enjoying the training, but I'm watching her, her turning around, having fun, and pushing herself. Yesterday, I asked her, I say, well, how's the class? The training? She's like, I was tired. I say, okay, how you feel now? She's like, I still feel tired. I say, do you realize how hard you trained yesterday? Oh, how hard you trained today? She's like, no. So shoot, you trained really hard, and she had a smile on the face. Good. She's enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, and it's really hard. I understand the parents that, look at the kid, it's like, man, my kid is on the bottom, not moving. This doesn't look like my kid's enjoying. I feel the same. I know I went through that, but I can tell this: if you have the patience, and understand that your kid's okay, even doesn't look like your kid's okay, your kid's gonna get out. Your kid's gonna learn how to skate, how to get out of that, and it's gonna be one of the best things you have to give your kid. Talking from experience for myself, what I came from, for where I am now. Yeah, your kid's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best things you can do for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for you to see outside and watch your kid doing something that looks like they're not good at it. Because my daughter, I know for training, I know how she moves. Right? I know that she has some technique there. She's not the greatest, but she has a lot of. She can move well, and I see other kids that can do the same thing that she was doing in the past. Right? And the way she's showing herself right now, like I say, okay, so I know where that kid's going. I can see a future, or I can see in the future that kid's gonna be really good. He's gonna be okay. And for the parents, we have to learn to be patient.
Yeah.
We have to learn to be patient, to give the kid the time to understand that they're gonna be okay.
Yeah. And it's like we never want to see like kids struggle, or especially our kids. We never want to see them struggle. But one thing that martial arts has taught me, when even being a parent to my own kids, is that if they're safe and they're not going to get hurt, they're not going to become injured. Struggle is where you learn your biggest lessons that stick.
Yeah.
So struggle is part of that process of being confident and comfortable on the bottom sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's such a key point. I want my little one on top. He or she should be like dominating. Like that comes way later.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to struggle first and do it with that confidence, and kind of there is a comfortableness to it, not to stay there, but that I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, and that's a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
In jiu-jitsu, I always come down to a balance. So for the kid who comes in and starting like coming, jumping, getting the technique, moving, and get on top. All right. This is gonna be reversed later.
Mm.
All right. So we're gonna
Yeah.
have it's like you're gonna find another kid that's training longer or maybe at the same time, but having the reverse, having a hard time in the beginning, understanding better how to be on the bottom. All right, because everybody's gonna have to learn how to be on the bottom one time.
Uh-huh.
Somehow, for someone's gonna put you on the bottom position, so you're gonna struggle on the beginning, the middle, and the end. So it's gonna go back and forth. And what happens a lot of time is when the parents take a kid from out of jiu-jitsu is because my kid's not doing the way the way I want him to do.
Mm.
Right? My kid should be because the other kid will start at the same time. All right, they start at the same time. My kid is always on the bottom, and the other kid's always on the top. I see the both are training, like why my kids always on the bottom, the other kids always on top. Why my kids not doing the same thing? Right? They're learning jiu-jitsu in different ways. One is learning the bottom, the other one's learning the top. It's gonna reverse.
Mm.
Who's gonna have the hardest time is the kid who's on the top. Because when he started flipping, they're like, I'm training here for a long time, and my kid now starting to be on the bottom. Oh, I'm sad because I'm on the bottom. I'm supposed to be on top.
Mm.
But the reverse is like the other kid's like, sweet, I was on the bottom for the longest time, now I can be on top. When he goes back to the bottom, it's like, I know how to do this already.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are the same process, we learn the same thing, but different ways, at different time.
Mm-hmm.
But when the kid that started on the bottom, trained jiu-jitsu and felt comfortable on the bottom, goes on the top, he's enjoying, and he gets back to the bottom, he knows how to get out. He'll be like, I'm okay, I'm not gonna freak out. I know I can go back on top.
Yeah.
The other way around is like, oh, now I have to learn how to be on the bottom, and I can't deal with this much well. I like I think that the time that parents take the kids out of jiu-jitsu, that process of learning stop is when the kids start to be on the bottom.
Mm.
Right? Like it's not being successful, being dominating on top when we forget. Maybe I forget to tell the people, like, the students, the parents, like, being on the bottom is part of the game. You're not being like, it's a visual, it's what you see is not what is true.
Yeah.
It's not the truth of jiu-jitsu when you see someone on top of you putting out their weight and going after and after, and from nowhere, when you go back on top, you get a submission, you get like.
Yeah. I do see a correlation too, or like a link between being comfortable and confident on the bottom. It improves your top game too, right? When you're on top, because your fear of being put down and someone on top of you is way less.
Yeah.
So it's like you can focus on what you want to do. You're not so worried about them getting on top.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it removes that kind of that fear that gets in. I mean, even adults, that fear gets in the way of us actually becoming better because we're more worried about trying to stop something, not how to work with that. That was definitely a lesson I took from jiu-jitsu for sure. Anything to add to that?
No. It's like just people remind people, it's gonna be okay. We're learning jiu-jitsu, you know.
Hmm.
Again, jiu-jitsu is hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So that's why we have so many people come in and go. It's not different reasons, right? But if you stick with, if you have the patience, if I tell the parents, like, if you have the patience to let your kid grow on their own time
Hmm.
to experience the best of jiu-jitsu, is nothing else can stop that kid.
Yeah. I one thing that I struggle with too is, um, when you're teaching kids, it's very easy for the parents to just view martial arts, jujitsu as a kind of like a sport, right?
Yeah,
Um, and yes, part of it is, but when it's looked at only as a sport, I feel like it's too easy to overlook all the other benefits of just training.
yeah,
Um, and that's unfortunate. It really is.
yeah. And going back, it's hard, and we have to learn how to do hard things.
Hmm. Yes.
Things gonna take time, you know, and resilience takes time.
Yes.
Success takes time. If you want to build a successful life, you have to build over a solid foundation,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, and it does take time.
Um, what, how,
Another thing is like,
yeah.
we we got used to be, you know, like everything fast, too fast, fast
Yes. Yeah.
food, fast cars, right? Fast reward. I want to get that as fast as I can. You know, we got used to, like, you
Hmm.
know, what I get if I do this, what I get for doing this. You know, like we got used to that, and life is not like that.
No, no.
You know, sometimes you're gonna put a lot of work. You know, we're not seeing the result right now. You know, it's hard to. I think we talked about this before. The last time we talked about this a lot, especially on our calls.
Mm.
Uh, what when I'm getting,
Yes.
all right, when I'm getting this, you're getting this when you're ready.
Yeah.
You know, when you're gonna get, when they're gonna get a next belt, when they get, you know, like when they're gonna be able to pass your guard, when you're ready to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not ready, like if you're not ready to receive, you're not gonna give value.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Right.
Um,
And one thing that martial arts is going, like, I'm sad to see that, you know, uh jiu-jitsu is like, hey, come in and start training jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be a blue belt in a year and a half, or you're gonna
oof.
be like, give a time frame, you know. I know we have to run a business, we have to pay the bills, but what are we getting from that?
Right. Yeah.
If you're willing to, like, if you say like you really love martial arts, if you really love Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you know, uh, uh what what are you getting from it?
Yeah.
You as a instructor, as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, that you say you love jiu-jitsu,
Hmm.
if you put in a time frame, giving a belt, you know, and say like, hey, come in, do a 20 classes, you get this, you know, you
That.
get that. Putting a time frame and give you, you know, it's like your kids. Put a time frame to, you know, I'm gonna give you $100 for you by this time. You
Hmm.
just go to school. You don't ask to perform. You don't ask, hey man, like you have what are you getting out of
Right. Yeah.
it? I
There's it's like you show up like when you know that okay, this date that's coming up, I just have to show up for a class and I'm going to get my next belt. There's no real um growth or effort um because we're inherently lazy. I mean, we want to take the what was the saying? We always want to take the route of least resistance, right?
yeah,
But you may get there quicker, right? But when you get there, it doesn't have that value that you're talking about. And then that leads to, well, why am I even doing this? I didn't really have to struggle through some of those lessons, because if I just show up and, run through class while I'm thinking about other stuff and not really learning the techniques um, and how to employ them, that's a shame. It
and
really is.
everybody has their own time.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Everybody has their own time, their own lifestyle, their goal. Everybody has their own goal in life.
Hmm.
We all say we don't compare, the students. We Please, like, what I see, like Professor Lee, Stalita, and I, have a Professor Hobson coming in more often. I'll have a Professor Nita teaching. Like when we ask about going to promote someone, we really take into like what was the students 6 months ago? If he's
Yeah.
better than he was, that's a lot of things that takes in place, and understanding your students, what your students are capable of doing or
Yeah.
not, it's big.
Yeah. In the way that I mean, by doing that, really, it comes down to if they get promoted, they put forth the right amount of effort to get to that next promotion.
Yeah,
And some people do it faster, some people do it slower. And sometimes on that path, like you start slow and then momentum picks up.
yeah.
Um, but it still comes down to the effort that you put out while you're on the mat.
And there's a
Those,
lot of thing, and there's another thing too. Is like a lot of people say, "I want that," and they say like, "I want, I want, I want, I want, I want, I want, I want." They do the work, they do everything. When they get it, they cannot hold the pressure. It's
uh,
not really the,
yeah,
Sometimes people goes like, "I want to show why my girlfriend that I want to show my friends that sometimes they come into like, I want to prove to somebody else what I can do."
yeah,
And they do the work. I'm saying like they do a really good job until they get the promotion.
uh, yeah,
Then it's like, things change. Remember, when you get a new belt,
uh-huh.
you know, things gonna change. The
Yes,
higher belts, as you get better at jiu-jitsu, the higher belt's gonna get harder on you.
sure, yeah, yes,
All right, so things gonna change. It's gonna be more challenge,
which requires more effort,
more
right?
effort, more
Yeah,
effort.
yeah,
It's not like, hey, I was a white belt yesterday, and people, you know, starting turn on when I got my belt. No, you got better at jiu-jitsu. You put in more effort. You trying harder, and we go. So are you prepared? You ready for a challenge? You're showing us that you're ready for a challenge. Then we're gonna push you a little more.
yeah,
And some people cannot handle that
yeah,
pause. Right? So, hey, I was doing really good until this point. Once I got my blue belt, people starting like, hey, hold on. You have a long time to go. And people are like, oh, I'm not good anymore at this? What happened?
Yeah. It's like um I guess maybe a good analogy or comparison would be like you start out like you take like baseball or another well-known sport, and it's the effort and commitment on the junior league field doesn't work when you get to high school. And then when you get to high school, it requires a lot more effort, more focused attention, and refinement. But what in the high school, that's not going to carry you through college. You have to get better when you get to college and you're on the
Yeah,
college team. And then you go to the minor leagues, you got to get even better. And they're going to push you. And then you get to the majors, and it's like you're constantly under pressure, scrutinized, and you have to continually perform. Um, like your effort at each stage kind of has to multiply quite
yeah,
a bit.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I could totally
And
see that.
anywhere you go, any sport you go, you're gonna be awarded for the, for the performance,
Yeah.
not for
Yes.
the
Yeah.
effort, for the performance.
Mm,
Right? If you're
yeah.
a professional, they're gonna like you. Yeah, you playing, you putting, you training, everything, but you're not performing.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of that in jiu-jitsu, right? Like, oh, in the academy, you like, especially for the one who likes to do a tournament. A lot of people
Mm,
think that in the academy what they have to show. I'm saying for any athlete, any kid that's trying to be a martial artist, like live a jiu-jitsu by going for tournaments, you have to train. You have to realize that you train in the academy to perform jiu-jitsu in the tournament.
mm,
You don't have to train to perform, and you don't have to go to the academy to perform every day your best and training, you know. And when you get to the tournament, your body is beat up to perform. That's a little,
yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
some things have to be changed, especially more we learn, more I learn, more, understand, like I have to train myself. If I'm going for a tournament, I have to train myself to perform the day of the tournament. If I'm not wrong, we talked about this before, but I have to train myself to perform the day of the tournament. That's when it needs to be performed.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. And
Mhm.
so when you on the academy, if you're getting beat up, you're getting smashed, you're getting tapped right and left, those things is you training, you know, for a specific day to
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
You have to take this out. For someone you're watching the kid getting beat up on the class, like, and if you want your kid to do a tournament, you have to be with mind open that my kid is trained to perform on the weekend, one weekend, and like in 3 months from now.
Yeah. Uh, it's kind of like that.
The peak has to be,
Yeah. They have, it's like, would you say it's like being able to perform under the pressure
yeah,
and get in all of the effort that it will take to get to where you can do that, or the kid can do that, right?
yeah.
Um,
And not just kid, but anybody. And it's another lesson jiu-jitsu. If you can perform under pressure, you know, you're gonna, in life you can transfer that to. If you
yeah.
can stop, protect yourself, think in a way out when someone is getting you, have a choke or armbar, if you can hold yourself, be patient enough to move and get out of submission, you know, although the thing's gonna go, like you're gonna have to perform under pressure anywhere you go. You do that at school, right? You do that at work, especially at work.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't perform, you get fired.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's gonna happen. And another lesson, Jiu-Jitsu man taught me, like, I can handle this pressure, I can perform under this pressure. So, and go back to how I run the academy. I'm used to perform under pressure.
Yeah.
Some days gonna be better than other days.
Sure.
But I know how to, I understand that it's gonna change. As long as I keep putting the work, I keep things under control and keep working towards to improve.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it really is about the journey of it all, right? And just one foot in front of the other foot as you go. And yeah, just yeah, being able to handle that pressure and still continue to walk and do what needs to be done. Yeah, it's tough. But I mean, once you experience getting smashed, life seems a little bit easier in a weird way.
It does. It does. It does. And it is life. It's hard.
Yeah.
Has to be hard.
Yeah.
You wanna, you want to feel good about yourself. Try to do something hard and finish.
Oh yes.
That's, man, it's better than any money that you get.
Yes. Fulfilling, gratifying, all those things that we're after. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, what if someone never trained jiu-jitsu, what's one life lesson that you would still want them to learn?
I learned this, when I was a kid. And it goes back to what we're saying, but the biggest, like, for example, the person I have the most admiration for in life was my grandma. She passed away a few years ago. My mom's mom. She wasn't a boxer. She was alcoholic, and
Okay.
one day I'm coming back from school. This is the middle of the day, right? I meet her on the street. She's down the ground, drunk, She looked at me and say, "You're never gonna see me this way again." She was in the bottom, laying down on the floor on the street, drunk. The day she saw me, I went to pick her up, to lift her, to take her home. Mm-hmm. When she stood up and she looked at me and said, "You're never gonna see me again like that." All right. And that's that's when she changed her life.
Wow.
And like I said, we go back to jiu-jitsu, I can put this in jiu-jitsu, but it's like, I'm in a bad situation right now on the bottom. I don't know if it could be worse. On the middle of the day, I got off of school like at 12 o'clock in Brazil. I was 7 years old, if I'm not wrong, coming back from school, that I think I had a good time at school that day, and see my grandma I see a human being, a person that I love, on the
Mm.
worst that could be, you know, to turn the life, you know, because she saw me and she saw how I look at her, you know, and have the power that to love someone so much that you can change your life, and someone in your life that you can love that much, like, hey, I can change my life around. And she's the big example of my life, because when she passed away, before she passed away, she was able to give everything she had.
Mm.
We didn't have to spend a dime on her funeral. She had everything set up, you know?
Wow.
And it's a big lesson for me. I take that from jiu-jitsu as well after I understand. And now it's like going back and like look at that time and someone to say, you know what? I have the power of changing my life.
Mm.
So the big lessons I can give, say someone, like to tell people is like, you have the power to change your life.
Yeah.
It's on your hands
Yeah.
to put the work, to put the effort, and how much you want to change.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
sometimes I listen to a lot of people, people going through different, things in life, and it kind of hurts a little bit to hear them say like, I don't have a control that, I don't have the. It makes it like, oh, feels like people are doing that to me. That's
Yeah.
people who's making me, people making me do this, people doing this, I'm in this situation because people is doing this to me.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's like, man, you have the power to change that. I haven't seen that. I lived that. I
Yeah.
haven't done that for myself.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
you have the power to change your life if you're willing to do the work.
Yeah.
And
That work
again,
part.
nothing lasts forever. You know,
Yeah.
you can slowly. Some people's gonna go that fast. Oh, you think it's faster? We outsiders. We watching people from the window. Anyone that comes to your life, we're not 24/7 with that person. We're not on every single conversation they are during the day. Every single life decision they make, we don't know. We
Yes.
hear, we hear what we're saying, like, is that true? Is that really what you're doing? No. And some people are doing, and we have no idea for how long that person's gonna is been working on that change.
Yes.
What we
Yeah.
see again, what we see are results perform.
Mm.
We see a lot of that.
Yeah.
We just see the ice, the top of the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true with the uh my wife and I were talking not too long ago about how uh I have two older sisters and an older brother. Um and how we can all be from the same family, but some people uh, live life in a different way. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse.
Different.
Um, it's different, and I knew for me, I just I couldn't settle for that. I didn't know what was past all that or how much work it would actually be, um, but I just couldn't accept that life was that way. Um, when I looked around and I just didn't want to live like that. And yeah, it's definitely it's not always better, but different.
Yeah.
And yeah, just how we can all come from the same, but lead drastically different lives for ourselves. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at, is just that power of change
Yeah.
and owning it. There's a saying I just shared that I wrote with a buddy. I think it was just this last weekend, and I said, there's a quiet strength when you can just stop and say, okay, this is where I am, honestly. Because it's once you get to that point of being honest, you can look around and be like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I can do the work, whatever it takes. I'm going to do it to change and put the effort in to live in a different way, like your grandmother.
Yeah, and that's one thing that she realized at that moment. She realized that she looked bad, and I realized that she didn't want that. She
Yeah.
told me that, she told me through the years, like, she will thank me as like, I have no idea what you thank me for, right? But just for me, the look I gave her made her change.
Yeah.
I have no idea what look was, like I don't remember. I don't remember, like I don't remember how I felt, right?
Yeah.
But for her, that was powerful.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
made her decide to live a better life, not just for her, but for the people that she loved.
Mm. Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
And now at this point in my life, I understand her, what a person's capable of doing for the people that you love.
Mm.
You can do that and one thing Alicia and I, we always talk about is how can someone love another person if they cannot love themselves?
Yes.
And
yes.
a lot of this is going through, relationships. A lot of people like, oh, I'm with this person because this person make me happy.
Mm-mm.
All right, this person, like, I tell everybody, like, I tell Alicia, like, I'm a happy person. Having you in my life, makes I'm happier.
Yeah.
Now I have an easier life since you got in my life. My life got much better, improved, 100%. We got a lot of things done that people thought that we'll never be, able to do. But I always share with us, like, I love myself and I love you. I'm capable of loving you because I know I can love.
Yep.
And it's going back to my grandma. That's a big, it's a big thing that she showed me how it's done.
Yeah.
I love you, my son. I love you so much that I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make my life better.
Mm.
So we can enjoy life together.
Yeah. That's an amazing lesson she taught you.
And I realized that, when I found out she passed away.
Yeah.
Even on the day of her death, she taught me a lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes time. I had the information. I had that story in the back of my head. For years, we talk about her and I would talk about, and I will realize in the end.
Yeah.
I would not realize I was able to understand that.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know, I don't think, let me look quickly, but I don't think this is kind of separate. But I have I'll share something with you. one of the talks that I share with a couple of my vet buddies about what endings can teach us. So after this, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Once we're done with this, it's just I think it's less than maybe 5 minutes or so. It's
Okay. Yeah.
but it's kind of like lessons that I learned about myself from when my dad died, and there's other things in there, but it seems very similar. Your grandmother's transformation is amazing, and it does show what we're capable
Oh yeah. We have a lot of power.
of.
We have a lot of,
Yes.
so it is an amazing thing what we can do.
Yes. Well, oddly enough,